Good morning and welcome to our December end of the year CEDC board meeting. This is a mixed emotion board meeting for me because it's my last as your chairman. Next month we do our elections and hopefully Jim is our next chairman.
Don't worry.
Need to be elected, yeah.
No, there's no coup underway.
You haven't won yet. Even though you are the only candidate. So anyway, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, David.
It's been one of the more enjoyable things I've done in my life. You all are wonderful to work with and work for. Thank you. Anyway, we have a new member here today, someone that I've worked with in Mid-Hudson Cable Vision for 15 years, Rachel Puckett. Welcome, Rachel.
Rachel.
Why don't we go around the room?
Take this obligation freely without any reservation or purpose of evasion.
Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. Let's start with the staff. This will be different.
I'm Caroline and I'm the bookkeeper. Hello.
Chris Brown, having done the board.
Steve Amber, and I work with the loans.
Martha Lane. I know Martha.
Riley,
Riley, I'm the administrative assistant by Riley.
Mike Tucker.
go ahead.
Andy Howard, I'm the attorney with the board.
Sean, would you introduce yourself?
Oh, boy. Yeah. Sean Sawyer from the Alana Partnership.
Jim Calvin, Calvin Communications.
And Leggett Construction.
Rachel Levine, I work with Hinkin Realty in Germantown, and I'm 30-year advertising branding professional from the city.
Dave Finger, retired, formerly with Mid-Hudson Cable Vision.
Sarah Sterling, artist.
Justin.
Rick, would you introduce yourself?
Rick Cummings. Mulder Gas.
Thank you all very much. Item 2 on it. Oh, wait, no, we didn't go around.
Happy, I stole your thunder.
I'm getting ahead of
At the
myself.
kids' table, I think, over there, right?
Justin. Okay.
Yeah.
Rick Rector, how are you? We
Hi, yes, I
know each other well now.
yeah.
Happy Puro, chairman of the IDA, non-voting member.
Very good. Yes.
I tell Cappy all the time that he doesn't count.
You don't count, I didn't want to say that.
Okay, thank you all. Sorry about that mishap. Next item up is the minutes from the November 28th meeting. Have you all read them?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition is carried. Next is treasurer's report.
Good morning. We're at the end of the year and pleased to report that we're only down on revenue by $7,000, which means we achieved 99.31% of the budgeted revenue. On our expenses, we only used 92% of the budgeted expenses. So that we had projected a negative $8,000 budget and we're plus 61,000. Now that will change as we meet with the accountants and make some year-end adjustments because we still have the month of December. These are numbers through November 30th. And you know, we will look at increasing the loan loss reserve account to the extent that we have sufficient positive net profits or net income being a not-for-profit. And I would like to recommend that we take 30% of the projected adjusted net income and move it to the reserve account. And basically that would be $25,000. And so we have to have the approval to do it before year end for it to be able to book it. But right now, if we go to the balance sheet and which the balance sheet, second page of the balance sheet about a third of the way up, you'll see allowance for bad debt loans. And right now, we're at $270,000. And by adding $25,000 to that, it will bring us up. The issue is when we write off a loan, if we don't have funds in this account, which is a paper entry on the balance sheet, you have to take a hit on income. And I'm not suggesting that we're going to have greater losses than we've had in the past, which, as you know, has been $150,000, over $4 million of loans over the last 8 years. I'm just wanting to keep increasing it when we do have a profit, so that we're in a situation where, as we've grown the loan fund, we're now up to 3.8 million, right? And you know, we keep growing the loan fund, and therefore, even if you have the same percentage of loss that you've had in the past, you're going to need more. And so it also, you know, my feeling is, if as a not-for-profit, if you make $1, you've then had a successful year. And I think if you you know, continue to build the reserve, you won't have a year where, like the year I came, where we wrote off $400,000 of the fish farm and the Mr. Singh's hotel, because we didn't have sufficient monies in the reserve, in the debt allowance account. Now, we don't make loans. We don't make $400,000 loans anymore. So it's, you know, we eliminate that risk, but we have a couple of $75,000 loans. And again, Martha and Steve and I aren't projecting that we're going to have increased defaults. But I do think, as we grow the loan fund, if we have that amount of profit, we should have the accountants book it instead of move it from expensive from our income into this account.
So this needs approval.
Yeah.
So the motion would be to move money from,
$25,000 from the, to add $25,000 to the allowance account.
debt reserve,
Debt
whatever.
reserve in 2023.
I'll make the motion.
Any discussion? Second,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? It's carried.
And again, you know, you want people to feel that you are using every dollar you're bringing in for your mission.
Mhm.
And we do have we have close to, now that we've received in December, the $175,000 that we had put up for the deposit on the 11 Warren Street, which was closed. And we have $650,000 in our working capital. If you look at the last page of the balance sheet, you'll see that we're up, the last line, well, actually, we're up $662,000 from last year. Over 200,000 of that was this new accounting rule that required us to calculate the value of our leases. The rest was the monies that we've received from the SBA in terms of this year we were awarded 750, but we've only drawn down 500 and almost 600, no, 250.
275, and we've requested another 275.
Right. So, you know, I think you'll see that, you know, there's been it's a fairly stable balance sheet, except for the fact that last year we had the increased amount of booking the loans, and also the additional funds for the loan fund. So, you know, I think when we get into January and we have year-end report and we have the finance committee report meeting, I think we'll be able to give you a much clearer picture of where we are and how we got there. And when you go back and look over the 8 years, you know, we've significantly grown our balance sheet, significantly grown our loan fund. And I think there was only 1 year where we had negative income, and that was because we approved write-offs. Any questions?
Yeah, treasurer's report needs approval. Any discussion? Motion to approve the treasurer's
Move that we
report.
approve
Sean,
the treasurer's
for a second.
I'll second.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's carried.
The next item I have is the contract between the CEDC and the Columbia County Industrial Development Agency. First document is an amendment to our existing contract, and the second is a contract for 2024. I'm going to start with the 2024 so that it'll give you a better understanding of why we want to amend the existing contract. We've had for many years a contract with the IDA where it's $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year, regardless of how many projects were closed. And the contract we have with the city of Hudson is more of a pay-as-you-go, where right now in 2023 we're getting $10,000 a year, but then we get 10% of every of any fee they receive on a project that closes. So basically, with the city of Hudson model, we're covering the administrative costs of running the in that case monthly meetings. Here it's bi-monthly meetings, doing the reporting for the state and the authority budget office. And basically, the intent of the base fee is to cover the administrative costs. When you have a project, there's a lot more work, and there's negotiation with the developer, there's engagement with the town and school districts and the county with respect to pilot agreements, there's interface with council. And so to structure it whereas a pay-as-you-go model, and where you get, we would get $10,000, we would get 10% of any fee up to $10,000 per project. There was a $5 million project and the IDA got 50,000, we would get 5,000. There was a $25 million project and the IDA got 250. 10% of that would be 25, but we'd be capped at 10. And it's worked well with the city. And the main reason here is we have not had a county IDA project since the WIC, which was 6 years ago. It's not because of lack of effort or trying. It's more the fact that we don't have water, sewer, gas, electric, and broadband at the same location in the county that allows someone to come in and build or finance a large project. Next year, the county IDA anticipates the Lobella Restaurant project. I anticipate the Flanders building being filled and that there be some IDA financing related to that project. And so I think that the result is that the IDA received $90,000 on the Ginsburg project 6-7 years ago. We basically depleted that by this $25,000 a year IDA fee. And I think that, my concern is that we'll be at a point where they'll be paying, won't be able to pay us anything. So what I'm proposing is that, and we're going to do this with the city of Hudson as well, that the base fee be $12,500, and the pay-as-you-go project fee would be 10% of any fee that the agency itself receives up to a $10,000 cap. And we had built into the IDA contract with the county that if they did more than $150,000 of deals, we would get 10%. If they did more than $15 million of deals, we would get 10% of any project above that, thinking that they had prepaid for 1 or 2 deals based on the $24,000 fee. But if we had 5 deals in a year, we would get a bigger fee. But I think having a base fee for the administrative expense associated with running the IDA and doing the work that Lisa and Riley and Kat and others do in support of it, that's covered by the base fee. And if we have deals, we get a we get paid for our work.
Okay.
So going back to amending this year's contract, what we discussed with the IDA was to present to this board that we reduce the fee for, we have a contract now that says $24,000 a year, that we amend that to say that it's $12,000 a year and consider the year paid. And by not amending it here in writing, it'll be on our books that we have a $12,000 receivable, and we haven't been able to get paid, and the accountants won't let us write it off. And I think it's a better reflection of what it costs us to do the work.
So we need to approve the amendment first.
The amendment, and obviously the IDA has approved both because it's reducing their fee. But I do think the pay-as-you-go model is much better than, and person who'll be most happy about this will be Sid Richter, who wanted us to do this 8 years ago when he was on the IDA. But it had been the practice of paying $2,000 a month whether he had a project or not.
Okay. Any discussion? Can we get a motion to amend the contract to reflect the reduction in the annual fee? And is that it? Or-
Yes.
Okay,
So moved.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion's carried. And now we need to do the contract.
Yeah, the amendment, a resolution or to approve the 2024 contract based on a $12,500 base fee and a 10% agency fee up to $10,000 a project.
Okay, what he said. Motion to approve the contract.
I'll move to.
Any discussion? Second,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That's carried also. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
That's what I should
Just say make money.
Next
If
item.
we
up
keep
would be-
both sets of books, it's hard to accrue money that doesn't.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Next item up would be committees, and audit and finance did not meet. Executive committee,
We met.
we met. I don't have the agenda in front of me though.
Pulling a blank.
Hmm?
Pulling a
Oh, pulling a blank.
blank.
Why don't you go to the next one?
Yeah, we'll move right along.
Sidelines.
Governance and nominating, Sarah chairs that.
Okay, we did not have a meeting, but we're having 2 meetings in January and February. We're going to be looking for probably 4 new members at least. And so I need some names, resumes, all of that, so we can start interviewing. We have some people to interview in January, but I'd like a few more. And then committees also will be changing in the spring. So if you want to change committees, and let me know.
And there is no minimum. You can be on as many as you like.
Yes, this is true.
Thank you.
And the main committees are audit and finance, governance and nominating, and the loan committee.
Right.
Yes.
So we let Sarah know about committee?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just notify me directly. That's it for me.
Okay. Next up would be loan committee. I'll give that to Rachel.
Yeah, so Martha will give the portfolio dashboard.
Yes, thank you. The dashboard is pretty clean this month. Loan client A is 60 days behind, but they sent us a double payment the week before last, and their outstanding balance is down to just over $1,000. And loan client B has been granted a deferment. We haven't yet connected with both partners, one of whom is in Florida, but we hope to have that paperwork signed certainly before the next meeting.
Any questions?
Did you have this report?
That needs a motion second approval.
Yeah, motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so carried.
Shall we go over that report, Mike?
Yeah, Steve, you want
All
to?
right, so yeah, so in front of you is a revised report from this past September. I want to thank Martha for all of her help with it. 2 pages. The very first page, we added sector in terms of community as well as demographics. So you've got the locations in which those businesses that we serve are located, as well as the demographics of the primary owner. So if you have any questions on page 1 of that report, by all means, let me know. And if you have any feedback on it, I greatly appreciate it. You'll notice the communities currently not served, Austerlitz, Gallatin, New Lebanon, and Taconic. We're happy to report that we have in fact approved the loan for New Lebanon, not yet closed. We hope to do that probably in the month of January. So we're certainly trying to expand the scope. Page 2 of the report is a recap or a revision of what I had shown you in September, showing you based on sector where our loans are in terms of principal as well as outstanding balance. And again, it's going to be the quarterly report. If there's anything within it that you would like to see different, by all means, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, this is terrific.
Yeah.
And Candles really needs to be its own,
What's that?
Candles needs to be its own subdivision within retail? Wow, sounds like an 18th century.
So we have 2 loans.
We do.
First is the jewelry loan request. Jeffrey Good.
Okay, Jeffrey Good. This is a retail store located on Warren Street in Hudson. They're looking for $50,000, which we have split between the 2 loan funds. The CEDC $10,000 loan would have a 60-month term, and $40,000 SBA loan would have a 78-month term. Both are at 7.75%. The purpose is to refinance debt, and we would have a lien on personal assets and also the personal guarantee of the principal.
Does anyone have any questions? If not, motion to approve.
Make a motion.
I move, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried. Next loan is Talbot and Arden.
Okay, Talbot and Arden, located here in Hudson, a retail specialty food store. Their request was for $43,000. Again, that we've split between our 2 loan funds. The SBA loan at 78 months, the CEDC loan at 60. Total monthly payment of $741.45. Interest rate on both loans, 7.75. This is a working capital loan, and the collateral being the lien on business assets and the personal guarantee of the principals. This is Talbot and Arden here in Hudson.
Now, and we have an existing loan
We do.
with them, and could you give us,
Existing client of CEDC, payment history has been excellent. A well-established business, happy to be working with us as we are with them.
and one of the things that we looked at is, that original loan, Martha, was 75,000?
Let's see if we have that here. I want to.
Because what we looked at was by, giving them this additional, financing and looking at the current balance of the first loan, we are not loaning them more than we had in the initial loan. So, you know, we,
What would their monthly?
so the monthly, you had a chart
Yeah, I'm trying to find that.
that,
There's the.
Yeah, so, our.
you know, with the pricing there, they certainly can afford to pay.
I can certainly get what the monthly payment would be with these 2 loans plus their existing. To Mike's point, they will end 2023 with just over $30,000 balance due to CEDC.
So when you add the 43, we're at under that 75 that we loaned them originally. So we're really just,
Starting over.
it's like a line of credit that we're starting over. And the total payment between the 700 and something that will be this loan and the $30,000 loan.
Roughly about $1,000 a month by the time we had all loans.
Was that initial loan when they moved or in their first location?
Their first location.
they've been client for what, 8 years?
8 years.
And their credit scores of their principals are excellent. But, you know, it is a growing business and we are looking to work with them with some technical assistance. Because when you grow that fast, you know, your expenses grow to keep up with demand. And you need to revisit that. And so that's part of this package as well.
Just curious, and I don't know if you know, but it seemed like just gleaning over the financials, there's a lot of depreciation there. Is that like processing equipment and stuff, I imagine, or?
Equipment.
And the fit up of the building.
Any other questions? Get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Oh. Workforce and education, there was no meeting. And next up would be the president and CEO report. Mike?
Thank you. We went back and looked, I think we reported that at the last meeting that Columbia County received $5.7 million in regional council awards. There were 12 projects, 12 out of 15 applications from Columbia County, and 12 were funded. There were $17 million awarded in the 8-county capital region, meaning we received 38% of the funds. Columbia County was at the top of the list with 5.7 million. Schenectady County received 75,000. And Albany County received, was number 2 at 5.3 million. Now I hesitate to, you know, come out of a public meeting for fear that next year will be the 75,000. But you know, it does show that the projects that Columbia County is presenting to the state, you know, get traction. And as I said in the Register Star, you know, the proof is in the pudding that Columbia County plays beyond its weight in the funding process. We have also been working on a number of projects. We had working with Labella, and we're working with a number of other new projects that are not yet ready for prime time. We've been getting 2 or 3 projects a week, which you know, brings me to the issue of attempting to find a replacement for Jessica, because it is getting to a point where I'm starting to make mistakes because I'm rushing and focusing on too many projects at a time. Certainly, the rest of the team has stepped up to help fill in, and I appreciate that a great deal. And you know, Jessica has been available to us for questions and other initiatives. You know, we are looking at obviously broadband, cell service now. The chairman has asked us to look into the cell service issue. We continue with housing, and Chris will give us a brief update in a moment. We're also have been looking at brownfields in partnership with Greene County. And you know, we had a call from our former landlord at Holcomb asking, you know, was there any way we could assist them in getting a tenant there, or possibly working with them on a brownfield project. So I think that the 620 Union Street Hotel in Hudson is back with financing, hoping to move forward with the city IDA. The WIC, we had reported, had gone to the county IDA and a deal had been proposed. That deal did not come to fruition, as you may have seen in the paper, but they are negotiating with a second potential buyer. As we reported, Redburn Development that redeveloped the property into a hotel. This is their only hotel, and they have over 1,000 apartment units, and it's a distraction to them to try to run a hotel when they're in the residential leasing business and construction business. So, I think it's a strong project, and it did put that area on the map. You may have seen in the Capital District Business Review a cover story on Ben Fain from he owns the Cas building and the Kitty's Red Barn across the street from the train station, as well as 8 or 10 projects in Catskill. And so, we continue to work with the Pocketbook Factory and many of the other projects that are in the pipeline. I think that I always worry about getting a mile wide and an inch deep, which is what we did talk about at the executive committee meeting in terms of where we were with our strategic plan. And I think that January will be a good time to revisit our successes in 2023 and also our goals for 2024 as an organization. But also, it's hard to say no, because we have created a environment here where people come to us as a concierge service. And we realize that with certain officials or individuals, if you say no once, they never come back. They find the path of least resistance. And I think we are very proud of the team effort here that we've created in terms of an environment that encourages people to submit for state funding. We certainly can't take credit for those awards, but we have guided people from a 10-minute call to a 3-hour of help putting their applications together. And I do think that the Board of Supervisors are very pleased with what we've been doing. They were very happy with the role we played in their purchase of 11 Warren Street. The only fear there is that shortly after Matt Morrell became chairman, early in my tenure, I asked him how I was doing, and he said, well, when he came, a third of us liked you, a third of us didn't, and a third weren't sure. A couple of years later, I said, how am I doing? He says, about the same, but with different, but it's different people. And I asked him recently, and he said, you're out of sync, because people are really happy with what CEDC is doing. So we have great relationships with our state legislators, with Congressman Molinaro. And yesterday, I participated in a press conference at the hospital with Senator Schumer. And we did discuss ongoing broadband funding and his continued support for the SBA microloan and technical assistance program, which there was some attempts by to not defund, but to cut back to the level that it had been prior to COVID, when the debt ceiling negotiations were underway. So Martha and I and Steve have been monitoring through some industry associations where that's going to end up in the 2024-2025 federal budget, because that's when you, between the interest on the loans that we're able to make with the SBA funds and the $270,000 of grant money, that's a big component of our business model. And so the opportunity to discuss that with him and be able to translate that into an appearance, translate that into support goes a long way with his staff when we need to address that going forward. And we have discussed it with Congressman Molinaro, and he's aware of what we do with those funds and how it has helped people over the last 20 years. So, and I too want to thank Dave as our board chair. He has, he and Tony Jones have been about equal in terms of being board chairs during my tenure here. It's been a very good working relationship. We've got to know each other, we've learned from each other, and we've become colleagues and friends. And I know that we will continue to have good working relationships, because I've known Jim Calvin for a number of years. And his background and experience in association membership driven not-for-profits is going to be an important component here. But Dave, I do want to thank you personally for your support, your encouragement on a personal level, but also for all that you've done for CEDC.
Thank you, Mike.
Bring a bottle of whiskey.
What about Jim's bottle of aspirin?
Yeah. Then we get the Quaaludes though. Next up, I would like to ask Chris just to give us a quick update, and also about the meeting you attended with the congressman on Friday.
Yeah, I have to follow an applause break. Fair enough. So I'll do a quick year in review as well. So we spoke to Congressman Mark Molinaro at a Habitat for Humanity event just last Friday. So I've now checked out my bingo card for all of our state reps. And he thought that the strategy that the Housing Task Force against CEDC is taking makes sense, which is really trying to build a network of organizations throughout the county that don't exist, right? Habitat right now is our only countywide housing nonprofit. And I think because of that, there haven't been a lot of housing grant awards that have been received by anybody in the county. But we are definitely on the state's radar for housing, much in the same way as we are for economic development, as Mike just went through. A couple of days, actually the day before Thanksgiving, Mike and I spoke to Aaron Scott from the Office of Homes and Community Renewal. He came down and talked to us for 2 hours on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. The upshot of that conversation is that there's money laying on the table out there and the county has not gone after for housing. So the Housing Task Force is focused on 3 grant awards that you actually don't require nonprofits to apply for. The county itself could apply for them. And then work with nonprofit to develop a local program. So one of those is the CDBG home repair. That's mostly for seniors. There's a home manufactured housing replacement program. And then there is the accessory dwelling unit +1 program. So all 3 of these are basically, they'd be pots of money that the county would hold on to, and then they would contract with a local program administrator for folks interested in the grants to apply for and receive. So the county could apply and work with a nonprofit. The county doesn't need to do any work beyond that. So those are kind of 3 low-hanging ones. They're fairly similar in that you need to develop some sort of statement of needs. You've got to figure out who in the county would apply for these programs. We have been putting out another housing survey either late January or early February. The first one we put out was targeted to employers. There are still a few employers we want to check with just because we didn't get quite enough responses. We're putting another one out that goes directly to employees throughout the county. So these are likely going to be a lot of folks who work in the county, cannot afford to live here. And I think it's going to help not only the grants, but Mike and I have had a few conversations with just private folks. And I think we're going to see a lot of this throughout the county. Just some people that have some acreage and want to build housing, but they're a little reticent about, they don't know the whole, if we build it, they will come thing. They're a little reticent about that. They're not sure if they build, 15 units at 1,600 a pop, am I going to take a beating on this, or is there a market for that out there? So I think doing the survey, both just for our own purposes, but also for the purposes of these grant applications, will really help some of those developers.
We have what, 8 or 10 potential projects on the people who approached us?
Yeah.
Some with working plans and some with conceptual ideas.
Yeah, some are pretty far along. Some, every project is just an idea until it's done.
Perhaps the Valatia project, since it's been before the planning board.
Yeah, we can talk about it. I just don't remember his name.
Paul Cagnow.
Thank you. So the owner of Bageltime in Kinderhook, he's got a property just off of 9H. It's sort of on the border of the town of Kinderhook and the village of Valatia. There was an annexation that occurred there in some way for this project to make sense. But he wants to do about, I think it was 59 units of senior housing. So it'd be 55 and up housing, but it'll all be below market. We've got a lot of seniors throughout the county that want to downsize and get into smaller areas that still have a neighborhood feel. And that's very much what this is. The development itself has a neighborhood feel, but it's also within walking distance to Main Street.
The interesting thing is he has proposed a single monolithic building with 60 units and working through it with the planning board. They've come up with it's still going to be a rental project, but there's going to be 12 townhouses,
12 2-floor townhomes, then 47
single family ranches. So it will have the feel of a subdivision development, but it will be all owned by the developer, rented to individuals. And they'll have a 55+ model where they'll have a clubhouse and activities and work, you know, the part of living there will be part of the community.
And all below market.
That's their
goal. The difficulty is, you know, there are no state programs, or there are not a lot of state programs that meet the types of developments that we're going to have here. We are working with the Taconic School District. Mike Johnson was here. He engaged us in meeting with them. We did hire Crawford Associates for $2,500 to do a proposed site plan. It's a 9-acre parcel across the street from the school campus. Their goal was that it could be units for employees at the school, and it'd be below market affordable units. It's difficult to be able, with fair housing laws, to restrict it just to people who work at the school, but you know that we understand that's the goal, and there may be ways of ensuring that while still not violating fair housing laws. The interesting thing there is, again, we were conceptualizing a monolithic building, and without giving the staff person at Crawford much guidance to see what he would come up with. It's 4-unit quadruplex.
19 of them.
19 units with 4, so 20, it'd be an 80-unit project, but there'll be only, you know, the largest unit, each of them will be 4 units. So it's kind of like, again, a neighborhood feel and look, as opposed to, you know, these large projects, which I think scare people that, you know, it's urban development.
I'll say, of the projects we've seen, none are in Hudson, which is great. Not that Hudson doesn't need housing, but it's just great to have projects in the county. None are in Hudson, and only one kind of conceptual sketch was one of those big buildings. But I also think it's a project that might be slightly too developed. So it's the only one that has the intent to just be a big block building. Everything else is single family home style.
And I think the other, you know, component of it is the difficulty for all of these projects is going to be wastewater. Because you can't put 80 units on a septic, and to build a mini wastewater treatment plant is not inexpensive. And in the particular situation with the school, you know, the thought was, well, with the drop in enrollment, there must be enough capacity in the school system, but not for 80 apartments. So they are going to have to build into the, and so our idea is get people conceptually narrowed down, and then they'll have to work with the developer to find someone who can figure out how to make money moving forward with a lease or the sale of that property from the school district.
Are you okay administratively to oversee all this? You know, you've done a great job. This is a whole brand.
I would not be able to be the local one person that LPA for 3 grant programs. No, you would contract with a nonprofit like a Hudson River Housing or Rumco, or you know, whoever responds to the RFP. But those programs come with a pretty decent chunk of administrative overhead. That's where that money would come from.
So you're fine.
Yeah, we wouldn't run out of stuff.
Just ask about how are you going to distribute the employee survey?
We haven't we lost the person who developed the employer survey. Tim Wilmot from Berkshire Taconic Foundation just took a job and moved to Denver. So we have to find another person who can help us out with that. But we got a lot of feedback from the first round of the survey. It's once they find a replacement for Tim, we'll work that out.
And Kat's getting ready for the auditors. We had a preliminary meeting with UHY. And we also, you know, Lisa's getting ready for Paris, and she's not taking the trip. She's filling out ABO forms beyond what's necessary. And obviously, Riley has been doing a great job helping us with our membership letter. We encourage all of you to remember that to be on the board, you have to be a member at whatever level feel comfortable with, but, we do have memberships from $150 to $2,500. And, we know that your time is a contribution, so we're not looking for anyone here to feel obligated to go to the highest end. But we do appreciate the value of your time, as well as recognizing that you do have to be a member of the organization to be on the board. And know that interesting thing is there is a group that's talking seriously with the school district about the J.L. Edwards School for housing. But also the Hudson Development Corporation is still interested in purchasing it to be, a community center of sorts. So, but I think the school district is their issue is they still have outstanding bonds. So the purchase price has to be at least enough to pay off the outstanding bonds. And I think the developer's concerns, and presumably the Hudson Development Corporation, is that the asbestos first, and then renovating it into a building that's functional for either purpose makes that difficult.
Is HDC still trying to get the city of Hudson to move their offices there?
Martha?
That is part of the plan.
So that would be city hall and community service, a community center?
It would be, they're calling it a hub, a community hub, and it would have several city offices there, and 3 of the buildings that are currently being used to be sold.
Well, that's gonna get free anyway.
They're gonna move back to City Hall, so
It's silly.
Now you got like your code enforcement is up at,
Yeah,
Upper Warren Street across from Wonder Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're,
yeah, that's the only office, not
That's
part of it.
right.
So again, a lot going on. I want to thank the staff as well. We're having our annual staff luncheon this afternoon, followed by the afternoon off for shopping or sleeping or taking a ride in the country, visiting Olana.
Nice day.
And Dave and Jim are going to join us at the lunch. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mike.
Question, anything on the project out on 9H and 66?
As you know, Bill first sold the land to Amador, and I think they're exploring what they would like to build and how that fits into what the town will allow them to build. But I talked to Paul Amador recently, and they're serious about doing something. They're looking at different options, and they had looked at a large number of apartments at one point, 5 years, 6 years ago. I think they got the sense from the community that there wasn't a lot of energy for 700 apartment units there, even before the expansion. They were looking at some retail with a small office building, and then a senior living experience, which would have been an upscale, above market facility similar to the Beverwick in Albany, or but that would require finding a partner to run it, similar to the Eddie who runs Beverwick, or the project in Queensbury. But these are projects where the residents would pay an upfront fee, which they would get back when they moved out, and they would get a meal. They get an apartment, 2-bedroom plus apartment. They'd get 1 meal a day in a country club dining room setting, and they would get activities, and they'd pay rent for their unit on top of the money that they put into the project when they moved in. But they would get their money back, or their family would, after they moved out or died.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
Not a place you move out of.
Well, it's interesting because at the Beverwick, they have you move from the independent living to the assisted living to the nursing home. So they have a continuum of care, but
Only one step left.
yeah, you might be luckier if you go from the independent, depending on what we've seen with the.
It's really that Livingston.
when Livingston Hills, when they had the Adventist home.
That's right.
You went from one to the next, to the next.
I'm not fearful, but I'm ready for a surge of, actual groundbreakings. In the next 9 to 18 months, because no matter how.
Happy with all the self-storage unit groundbreaking?
Yeah, turn them into apartments, maybe, huh?
And solar, but, you know, I do think that, people are beyond COVID. They figured out how to manage the interest rate, risk. I think there's a sense that, we're going to bypass a significant recession. I think banks are finding ways to, continue to lend money. I know there's one project here that's using PACE energy funding, which is a program that the state has, for improvements to your property or components of your new building that are approved by NYSERDA for energy efficiency. There are several projects looking at EV5 funding, which is the greatest thing since plenary indulgences in the Middle Ages. You invest $500,000 in a EV5 center. They aggregate the funds and invest in projects, and you get a green card. And
I'm from the place where it was the biggest scandal in Pittsburgh, Vermont.
Yeah. And Senator Leahy still takes credit for it. But I think, the issue there is there's a plethora of EV5 centers, and not all of them are sophisticated enough to get it done. But I think developers are looking for ways to continue, and we had a company out of Woodstock, looking to locate a dairy production operation because they felt Columbia County has a large number of farms that still have grass-fed milking cows. And they're looking at Flanders right now. So, the issue with Flanders is they had a long-term lease with a real estate investment trust that owns 175 million square feet of space around the country. W.P. Carey out of Chicago. And that lease runs through 2032. And so a global company like that is either going to pay the rent to 2032 or it's going to have, but the investment that this company in Ulster County was looking at, you couldn't make that investment without having either a longer lease or a purchase of the building. And, to get the attention of the company in Chicago that owns it, when you're in Hudson, New York, isn't easy, as we've learned with the garage door company who's owned by a company in owned by a company in Texas that's owned by a company in Japan. They don't even know. It's a blip on the elephant.
I don't even know we're here.
A lot's going on, and we, again, appreciate all of your time, effort, engagement, and look forward to happy holidays and a happy new year.
Dave, may I just quickly give a quick update on some of the major developments that are happening at Alana? So I'm not sure how much people are aware of, but we're currently in the midst of constructing a new visitor center right off of 9G, which is largely funded by my organization. We've raised $15 million towards that construction, which has included a couple of CFA successes in 2021. Including NYSERDA, which is making it entirely all-electric, sustainable design building.
Is this where the old restaurant was?
No, it's above that. It's just after you enter the property. I'd be glad in the spring or anytime to give people a tour. So that project is now about 75% complete. It's supposed to open next Labor Day as part of the Park Centennial. And the success of our fundraising, as is in our agreement with the New York State Parks, has leveraged parks money to the site. So they're committed 25 million over the next few years to do a series of projects. They're just going to bid this week. Actually, they went on Friday, went to bid for a new $7 million maintenance facility, which will be right there on 9G, where the current one is, which was an old fruit stand, has no bathrooms, dirt floors. You know, that's how the guys have been living there for 50 years. So that's going to hopefully be finished in 2025. And meanwhile, a lot of other projects on site, all new signage, wayfinding signage, which we've never had. These all are, six-figure projects, but they add up over time. And we've just finished the new parking lot with electric car chargers down at the farm, which will be is the first phase of restoring the farm and bringing that back into operation in our educational programming. And the state is just committing $3 million to repaint the exterior of the main house, repair all the woodwork, which was last done 25 years ago. So we're really all sort of trying to have these projects come to fruition for 2026, which will be the bicentennial of Frederick Church's birth. And we have hired a curator from the Met who is moving up here, as so many people want to, Betsy Kornhauser, and she's leading and we're organizing a national constellation of exhibitions on church. So we'll have one at the National Gallery, at the Met, the Cooper Hewitt, the New York Historical Society, the Wadsworth Athenaeum, hopefully out west too at Seattle and in Dallas, where all the great paintings by Church are and all these places. So we're going to plan to, we're working with I Love New York with Ross and his team to look at doing some major promotion about drawing people here for 2026 being the epicenter. We'll have a major exhibition at Alana. So anyway, there's a lot going on.
We got more going on.
Sean, you're doing a terrific job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Key is that they're supporting and leveraging their initial investments with more money.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
and a lot of times they give you the money and you never see them again for 10 years.
Yeah, well, too often what happens in the nonprofit sector is if you succeed, everybody falls away.
Go on to the next one. Struggle.
Right, right.
Well, you've done a terrific job. So,
Yeah.
Thank you. Lisa, did you have something? Did you want to talk about the forms or something?
The forms I handed out to you, just return to me.
Yep.
If you haven't, I'll be nagging you again.
remember, this is like when I give 20s to all the CFAs I score so that the money comes local, give whatever the highest score is. So if the APO doesn't come over here and question all what we're doing.
And I think that's the end of our agenda. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays. And